Hello there, my very good friends. On today's delayed wrestling news video, I'm going to tell you all about AEW fans getting refunds for blood and guts.
An update on the return of Jinder Mahal and his new stable.
We have a big AEW injury update after blood and guts.
And a former WWE star is heading to Impact Wrestling. I'm Adam Wilborn.
And I'm Andy Murray.
And this is the delayed news.
Let's kick things off at this late hour in the day by talking about blood and guts and the refunds that were issued to a grand total of 5 people at Daly's place after the show. So the reason for this was that the first hour of Blood and Guts was pre-taped. It was done in advance to avoid any potential scheduling issues with, bringing down a massive cage and arranging this huge match and everything else. They pre-taped the first hour and they showed it to the people who were in Daly's place on the big screens around the building, but they still need the crowd noise for that show. Tony Khan came out, I'm getting ahead of myself here. This was actually known before the show, right? Mm-hmm. So at the time the tickets were on sale, people would have bought them with that information available. You should have, buying the ticket, you would have known the first hour was on screens. However, Tony Khan proved himself quite a charitable man with this, because according to Mr. Jacob Cohen, a regular attendee of these shows, that's his Twitter handle there, Tony Khan came out, called the fans the best in the world and said, listen, if you're not happy with this, come see me, get a refund. So presumably those 5 people were lining up at Tony Khan's door going, oi, give me my money back. Dave Meltzer spoke a little bit about this on Wrestling Observer Radio. That's where we get the 5 people from. Those of the 1,500 people who were in attendance, that's how many asked. But yeah, apparently they've just given these refunds because, hey, maybe someone didn't know this. Maybe they missed this news when they bought their ticket and they turned up and they were surprised by it, which I think is fair to do. I can't imagine it's much fun sitting in an arena and watching a show on a screen. Not that we've ever done that before, but it's a nice way to make good for those people, even if it wasn't necessarily 100% what they needed to do, because if it was a nasty capitalist thing, and almost everything is in this era, he could have just said, no, you knew this, idiots, go away. But no, 5 people got their money back and hopefully enjoyed the show.
Yeah, it's something and nothing, this, isn't it? People did ask for refunds and that's completely within their rights, like you say, Andy. But at the end of the day, it's not like Blood and Guts was on a screen or anything, and with the knowledge that people hopefully knew a lot about this in advance, it's just it's just nice a gesture for Tony Khan to offer that out, I suppose. And I get it. Some people were disappointed with the ending of Blood and Guts, but the match itself I thought was a barn burner. You got your money's worth, certainly in terms of blood in that match. I can hardly think of anyone who wasn't busted open by the end of it. And speaking of which, we'll come back to one of the people involved in Blood and Guts a little bit later on. But let's update you on that whole situation with Jinder Mahal. I think we reported earlier on this week he popped up on Main Event, returning to action against Jeff Hardy, with what we thought was Inder's share in his corner. Further updates on that has revealed that is not the case. But yes, he was back on Main Event. No word as to whether he's going to re-debut on Raw or SmackDown in the near future, or if this was like a tryout for something and going down later on. Last time, of course, we saw Jinder Mahal was the Superstar Spectacle in January. But he was joined in that match ringside with his people who interfere, the new version of the Bollywood Boys, basically, and they're bloody massive. Not by Inder's share, by one half of Inder's share, Rinku Singh, but now also no longer with Saurav Gurjar, the other half of Inder's share, but with Dilsha Shanky. And a further update to that, Rinku Singh is no longer known as Rinku Singh. He has now been rechristened Via, and Dilsha Shanky is just being solely referred to by his surname. So it's basically going to be Jinder Mahal, Via, and Dilsha. That's going to be the new faction going forward. And I sense it's going to piss a lot of people off when Jinder Mahal racks up the wins due to interference by his boys, Andy.
Hey, there we go. Could we not have renamed Rinku Singh George, so then we could have Shanky and George?
That's a callback. I love that.
Real missed opportunity there. Bad job on you, WWE. I think Dilsha Shanky is 7 foot tall or 7'1". He's a big old unit of a boy. So I still find it interesting that they put these guys on Main Event to come come back in and form and everything else, and not Raw, which is a show that people actually watch.
Yeah.
But you know, maybe they can do something interesting. I've grown into a bit of a Jinder fan, man. I've got to admit. Not that I think he's some amazing 5-star worker or whatever, but I kind of like it when someone just really annoys people.
Genuinely for a split second was about to say, oh, maybe they were sort of, dry running them in front of a crowd. Yeah, that's not Adam, is it? Come on.
Let's see how the main event Zoom call takes them, as opposed to the SmackDown Zoom call, for example. Yeah, I mean, it's a serious injury that Jinder came back from at Superstar Spectacle. So, like every new thing that doesn't involve Lily, I'm interested in seeing where it goes. So, hey, let's talk blood and guts again before we shoot on Lily again. Injury update following that show. Obviously, there was a lot of blood spilled. Blood and Guts, that's the name of the show. No guts, fortunately. That would have been gross. But we've got an injury update courtesy of 2 outlets. The first one here is Fightful Select, talking about the Blood and Guts match itself, saying that they haven't been informed of anyone who has suffered a major injury. So people emerged from that match, in their word, banged up. A number of different participants in that match were hurt a little bit, but nothing major by the sounds of things, which is good. Sammy Guevara, who suffered a head laceration, has posted an image on Twitter that's he's got about 7 cuts and 19 different bruises, but he's looking tough. Sammy, he's looking tough. So fair play. I don't know if you saw the image of Cash Wheeler that he posted of just all his clothes covered in blood and his little pair of pants for some reason. I shared those as well. Fair play, Cash. PW Insider's Mike Johnson has come through as well, reporting that Cody Rhodes was busted open hard way wrestling QT Marshall around his eye area. It's a bit that's been busted open before. That wasn't supposed to happen. Going back to Fightful Select, they also report on Darby Allin, who was thrown down the stairs by Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page, sold the arm. The arm isn't actually hurt. Darby Allin is, in their words, good, or about as good as you can be when you've been thrown down some concrete stairs. But that was all done to kind of set something up for the Miro match. So, understandably, people are coming out of this match a little bit knocked loose. Shouts to the hardcore band. But nobody seems to be seriously hurt, which is good.
Yes. The politest way possible. I believe Darby Allin tweeted something like, "My shoulder's buggered, but I'll be fine for action next week," sort of thing. That's the police broadcastable way, I think he put it on social media. And glad to hear everyone came out of it all right, aside from a lot of cuts and bruises you alluded to. I think it was Phil who sent around an image of Cash Wheeler just pissing blood absolutely everywhere. And another update to come on Blood and Guts to wrap up today's news video. But yeah, it could be worse, Sammy Guevara. You didn't get a fucking fork in your head, did you? Jesus Christ. Anyway, let's conclude by talking about the WWE star, or former WWE star, who's set for a regular role in Impact Wrestling, and that is former NXT UK wrestler Killer Kelly. New report from Fightful Select. No crap, just sap at Fightful Select. It says that Impact were interested in signing the Portuguese talent after she wrestled for them in late 2020. She's been working in the Knockouts tag team division alongside Renee Michelle, but a lot of things had to be worked out. Obviously, the ongoing global bastard basically has been the issue. Portuguese embassy has been closed for interviews, the global health crisis, all of that. Hopefully, things are getting more and more back to normal. Eventually, she is going to be heading to Impact Wrestling for a more regular role. Great news.
Yeah, I always felt Killer Kelly was really quite good from what I'd seen of her in WXW before coming to WWE. Great intensity about her, great presence in the ring. And, the fact that she's been coaching at the WXW Academy shows how highly revered she is among her peers and stuff. So it was a weird WWE departure of hers. She was on NXT UK a fair bit, and then she just kind of left in January 2020. So it'll be definitely cool to see her show up in Impact Wrestling. It's a good women's division over there, and I think she'll fit in nicely. She'll be a good player there. I enjoyed her brief spell in the Knockouts tag team title tournament that went down last year. So looking forward to seeing what she does next. I think she's very talented and has a lot to offer, for sure.
Yes, best of luck to her in the future. Let's move on to your Twitter questions at WhatCulture WWE then. First question today comes from Uesugi Kenshin, who says, do you see MJF cutting a promo next week to salvage the jump situation? Something like, I know the ramp was fake, but you didn't, so I made you surrender for nothing and throw him off for laughs. I suppose a similar vein to the 69 Me Don thing. What do you reckon, Andy?
I don't think they'll address it directly in the same way they did with 69 Me Dawn, because I, honest to God, think that people will have forgotten about it in 2 days' time. The thing about it was, and I wrote about this extensively in my Ups and Downs article, I wrote about 300 words on, the framing of this was bad. The problem wasn't the bump itself, it was that we saw just some boxes and some mattresses or whatever fold, because we all know that these bumps are taken onto soft surfaces, and there was a bunch of crazy people going around social media going, hey, what do you want him to do? Dive onto concrete? He's 50 years old. No one's asking for that. We just want the framing to be a little, production, change the angle. You don't want to see that it's fake. You know it's fake, but you want to believe it's real. That's how the whole deal works. So that's a condensed version of my thoughts on it, but I do believe that we'll all have forgotten about this by next week, and it won't matter a dot.
Yes, exactly. All you really need, you don't even need to show the fall again on Dynamite. You just need to show MJF's bloody face saying thank you, and you've achieved it. Very excited to see what happens next with the Pinnacle and with the Inner Circle, and of course, should mention here as well, Andy, Dynamite hitting number 1 in the ratings. Incredible achievement, that.
First time in the show's history, yeah. Fox, they don't run Dynamite. TNT even put out a statement going, hey, look at this is really good. So it's a good sign for the show. It's done well. Last week was obviously a blip, but the Joe Biden thing was on TV and affected everything. So yeah, it's doing well business-wise, and shows doing well is good for everyone, and fans of the business and everything else. Breathes life into the sport. It's a good time.
Genuinely surprised we haven't had a message on our internal work system from one Ben Roy Turner saying, see, Michael Nakazawa's the big draw, but still.
There we go.
Right, let's move on to our next question from Mark Smith, who says, bit of Friday fun. It is the What Culture Mania match, every man for himself. You do a dive to the outside. Which 2 What Culture presenters do you want to be catching you? Andy, why don't you take this one?
Oh my goodness, who do you want catching you? I mean, it's a lazy default answer, but obviously Simon Miller.
Yeah.
Because he's lovely and he's massive and he's trained. So there you go, it's the power combo. Who do you want catching you? The other one is probably Michael Hamflett. Michael Hamflett is a tall man. You don't realize Michael Hamflett towers over the competition, and I think he would be a safe bet. All due respect to Ben Roy, who I love and respect very much, I do not want that guy catching me if I'm falling out the ring.
I completely accept you not picking me as well, because I've got some sharp bloody elbows. I'll take your face off.
Noodle arms.
I'll be as effective of who was it who was meant to catch the Taker at WrestleMania that year, the cameraman?
Sim Snuka.
I was about to say Sam Snuka. I was like, that's not his name. Yeah. Yeah, that'd be me trying to catch you, Andy. I will go for the other Dudley boy. I was going to go both Dudley boys, but as soon as you've got one, I'll go for Sidgwick and the other trained wrestler in the What Culture office, Phil Chambers, who I reckon would be a bit like Cesaro. I reckon Sidge can probably just stand there and Phil would just catch me and just plonk me down, because he's deceptively strong. I've been climbing with Phil, and yeah, he's like a little bloody spider monkey. Right, okay, let's move on to our final question of the day. It comes from Mark Lee Willis, who says, morning, dudes. Well, afternoon, dudes. Thank you for answering my question yesterday, but put some respect on AEW's doctor name is needed. You forgot to add the DMD. Anyway, have you experienced any personal spooky bollocks? I coincidentally watched Fight Club for the first time on Orange Cassidy's birthday. Andy, any experiences of spooky bollocks for you?
What, like actual real life spooky stuff?
Ghosts, I assume, he's talking about here.
I mean, I go through a spooky experience every Tuesday morning at 4 a.m. when I sit down to watch Raw and have to watch Lily. But I don't know, man, like Derek Akora, ghosts, are they real? It's a no from me, Mark. I'm sorry.
They're not real. And if any ghosts are watching this and are annoyed about it, come at me. Like, I don't know what you want me to say. A mate of mine, one of my best mates, when we were at uni together, after we'd had a massive night on Old Rosie, which is this really strong cider in the Students' Union, claimed he saw a ghost on the 3rd floor of our university building. Yeah, because that's where ghosts like to hang out. He said he saw a ghost of a farmer in a Students' Union hall. Yeah, that's how it works, isn't it? And the only other thing that I've come close to this is when I thought that I was at my mate's house and it was haunted, or I was having a mental breakdown, and it turned out that a friend of mine had accidentally connected to the speaker in the room and was just going through like Snapchat filters. So I was hearing like, and then like chain jangling. And I was like, well, this is me going to die then. And yeah, it turns out there's a reasonable explanation for everything. And no paranormal activity as reported yet. at the new WhatCulture studios. Let's move on to today's and finally, and one final mention of the fallout from Blood and Guts from one Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, who tweeted overnight, "No joke, Dax's head started bleeding again at the dinner table, and I used my napkin to stop it. Hashtag role model."
Very good stuff. Not only, a devious heel on the screen, a role model and a saint off of it. Can't wait till Dr. Britt Baker DMD to give her a full title, gets that women's title. I think the division's ready for it.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to Double or Nothing at the end of this month, but I can't imagine going for dinner with someone and go, your head's bleeding again, mate.
Just dab that off.
Let us know your thoughts on that. And who from the WhatCulture office you'd like to go for dinner with and dab blood off their forehead in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling on either you're picking up the check, by the way.
Yes.
Subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling wherever you get your podcast from for daily wrestling podcasts. SmackDown previews up there right now. Wrestle Culture with a bloody good quiz will be up there later on as well. Plus, you can let us know your thoughts and Twitter questions on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE. Watch there, follow both of us. You can follow Andy Murray at...
You can follow me at Andy H. Murray. The H today stands for... I messed that up. The H today stands for happy birthday to the best wrestler in New Japan, the best heel in New Japan, and definitely the best champion in New Japan, Tangaloa. Happy birthday to that man.
Hey, there it is.
Hey.
Follow me on Twitter at Adam Wilborn. Follow us all at WhatCultureWWE. But for now, my thanks to Andy Murray. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon.
Yes.